Yo, this is JWez TV. I told you I'm gonna be dropping them, so don't forget to subscribe to your boy channel. I appreciate everybody who's been subscribing, and welcome back. Alright. Yeah. Back with another clip. Like I said, y'all wanna keep spinning the block on me? I'm gonna keep having these clips loaded. Let's get into another one. Like I said, it's not my story, it's his story. Let's get it.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the life of infant NightMare. Dante Kennedy was born on December 29th, 1998, in Los Angeles, California. He attended Hillcrest Elementary School. He was raised in the Baldwin Village neighborhood of Los Angeles, infamously known as the Jungles, or the Jays, an urban fortress composed of high-density apartments and tropical vegetation. The Jungles are still unsafe today, but in the early 2000s, it was on another level. Those were the training day days. Guys 20 deep in red on every block, monitoring every car that goes in and out.
Yeah, if y'all seen that movie Training Day, pretty much that's what the Jungles are. Pretty much consists of a whole bunch of apartment buildings, palm trees, and hills. You know.
For a while, it was a no-go zone, as you would enter at your own risk. Young black kids growing up in this type of setting more than likely get swallowed into the Black P Stones, the gang that has its area on deadlock. This neighborhood is so deep and active that you basically are a member by living there. BPS recruits heavily, but the actual put on.
Wow. But that's like any project, any big, large apartment area, you know, just growing up in there, you from over there, you know. People used to say, man, you was born over there, that's where you from.
Process is not easy and is selective. NightMare would join BPS in his early teen years.
This NightMare? This was the boogeyman, this NightMare? Looks can be deceiving, right?
Infant NightMare made it a point to be a standout member from jump. He was considered a part of the 10% of gang members who are really active in the field. These are the real line pushers, patrolling the neighborhood and banging on people. NightMare was always known to carry a gun. He primarily focused on the top shooters from rival gangs and prioritized knocking them off. By the time he was 17, he gained high status and rank within BPS. His earned rank was a combination of factors. NightMare was super solid and very respected, and was very ambitious to get money.
This dude pretty much rose up the rank very fast from a young age, you know. Pretty much, you know, he checked all the boxes, you know. You know, he was one of those ones, and he got money.
He had a good record with the hands and was always down to fight. Alleged bodies and numerous attempts propelled his reputation as one of the top young shooters in South Central. NightMare was down to kill and do life in prison or die himself in the process. After the Rolling 40s and the Harlem 30s, NightMare hated 18th Street the most. BPS and 18th Street's war goes back decades. In the mid-90s, a few 18th Streeters lived in the Jungles off Ursula Avenue in one apartment. They tried to set up shop and sling drugs on that block. BPS told them it was a no-go. When the Ursula clique continued to sales when things got hectic. After Ursula got pressed, the Rancho clique and some other gunners from
y'all can see the division right there that divides the two gangs. Say Obama Boulevard pretty much is right across the street from one another, you know, but that's the crossing street that separates them. Them two gangs is literally right across the street from one another. 18th Street, Rancho Park Clique, and Jungle Stone Bloods, you know, BPS.
Other cliques responded with gunfire. BPS responded with full court pressure, shooting up Ursula Ave every day. Shootouts would occur from out the window onto the street and from apartment to apartment in the Jungles. It was so much heat the Ursula clique had to vacate the Jays and stay in the Rancho Park clique's hood. The Rancho Park clique were firing back on Ursula's behalf. Even black kids walking to Dorsey High School were getting shot. Most of the Ursula locals were wound up getting absorbed into the Outsets clique, and that's who's been in the thick of it with BPS, along with the Smiley Drive clique. NightMare was known for bouncing out, pop out.
Like it was another Smiley clique from the 18th Streets who joined up with the other 18 to combat what the Jungle Stone was pushing, you know. It was like they said, full court pressure on them.
And shoot you type. But he also had a sneaky side. On one hot night, NightMare ventured into 18th Street's turf. There he spotted three 18th Streeters outside on the street talking. NightMare allegedly got out on foot, crept up from behind, and domed the 18th Streeter. 2 additional shots were fired, but they both missed the other targets. NightMare gathered himself and fled off into the night. The sneak attack was allegedly one of his first bodies, and the 18th Streeters got a clear view of his face. After that murder, NightMare briefly shifted his focus to another enemy that was in close proximity.
Guess that was the first and was up from there. He shifted his, he shifted his mind to another area.
West Boulevard Crips. Allegedly, there was some back and forth dialogue being exchanged on social media. Threats like "you know what it is when I see you" were being sent. And it didn't take long. NightMare allegedly spots him near the intersection of Crenshaw and Adams. These cross streets is a point of conflict, as multiple gangs lurk near these borders and often are bound to run into each other. After spotting him, NightMare allegedly chased his victim down in the streets and completed his mission. There's no one NightMare hated more than the Rolling 40s. In fact, this has been BPS.
He just said he hated the 18th Streets the most. Now, the West Boulevard. Now the
This is top enemy for more than a decade, especially among the younger generation. NightMare labeled himself Mr. 40K, and he earned that title, shooting up the 40s on a weekly basis, from the avenues to Parkside, but especially the dark side where all getting lit up. NightMare was putting in a ton of work and was becoming a true nightmare in the streets. His name rang bells, and his gunplay put everyone on notice. He was an active shooter and had no intention on slowing down. As NightMare rose to one of the top doubters in the city, he began to prioritize killing other top shooters from rival hoods. Africa, also known as Tiny J Stone, was an extremely active, high-ranking member from the 89 East Coast Crips.
So he made it a mission to start taking out other ranking members of other gangs. I said, it's not my story, it's his story. Let's get back to it. This is NightMare.
Fast forward to July 29th, 2018, at 12:40 a.m. Africa is hanging out with rolling 40 members near 43rd of Vermont. NightMare and other BPS members all saw it that night, driving around looking for a 40 Crip to kill. They end up pulling up to 43rd of Vermont and find just what they were looking for: Africa and a few rolling 40 Crip members. That's a 2-for-1 special in NightMare's eyes. NightMare then jumps out and specifically tries to kill Africa first. He lets off numerous shots, and bullets start flying. But instead of hitting Africa, a 40 Crip named Tiny Hardhead got hit. 2 others were also shot. Hardhead was pronounced dead in the street at 12:50 a.m.
Is this Tiny Hardhead that 5 Crip always mentioned, pretty much? Let me know in the comment section. Is this Tiny Hardhead? He always used to say on Tiny Hardhead, let me know though.
NightMare and another gunman ran to 2 separate vehicles, which fled the scene. Tiny Hardhead was a factor in the 40s, and he was known for shooting and pressing the issue.
Hardhead is that trip.
They gon' phone your mic, bro. I ain't even on no scene making, bro. I'm phone your mic, pop.
He on the phone calling his homies.
I pop that y'all niggas don't do nothing.
It's always a female that gotta incite the stuff, wanna continue and, get up out of here, man. Go to the side, chill, relax, be a lady. Y'all didn't hear what he said. If that was Tiny Hardhead, he said, man, I'll punch y'all, I think. And he said, man, I'll stay shooting y'all niggas. And he walking these individual, I believe, from Jungle Stones down. This looks like it's some old footage from back then, though, before, I guess, that incident happened.
It's 4 of y'all, though. It's only 3 of them.
Which I need a burner, cuz. We don't got no burner. Let's get our head up, cuz.
That's Tiny Hardhead. He said, we ain't got no burner, man. It's 4 of y'all, it's 3 of us, man. Y'all should be fine with a head up.
Originally, when he was killed, there was speculation in the city whether it was the 5 Deuce Hoovers or BPS's work. But as NightMare got away that night, Africa got a glimpse of his face. NightMare was wearing a hoodie, and it was dark, but Africa was almost certain it was him. Africa then told the 40s who he thought he saw, and word traveled to the 50s. Tiny Hardhead was deeply connected to the 557s, so both hoods took this lost personally. Retaliate.
Alright, that gotta be the same hardhead that they mentioned. He just said hardhead did have ties with the 5.5s and 5.7s, and both 40s and 5.5 and 5.7 took that that hit hard, you know, when that incident occurred, you know. It hurt both sides, you know. So that is the individual, I believe. If not, let me know.
Was guaranteed. The Jungles were shot up weekly for almost 2 months. And for good measure, the 5.57s and 40s also hit up 5 dudes for a good 2 months also. The results were 3 people dead, but their main prize was still lurking around in the shadows.
After Hardhead went out, man, and that happened to him pretty much. After that, 5.5s, 5.7s, and 40s all just ambushed the Jungle Stones on a 3-month spree, you know. And you know, he told y'all the details, you know, but they still was looking for their man.
That's until October 3rd, 2018, shortly after 5 p.m. NightMare was standing on the sidewalk with a couple brims in their territory. 2 people then walked up and began firing at the group, striking NightMare and 2 others. Bodies dropped to the ground and everyone tries to flee. NightMare was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead at 5:51 p.m. Rumors spread that the alleged gunman was a Rolling 40s member and a stud from 50s, and some people were shocked that it was a female shooter involved. Now that the trophy was gone, BPS responded with full force, and the 40s felt major impact in the months that followed. After NightMare's death, he was super dissed all over social media from various hoods. Roller 40 members even dropped diss songs mocking his death. That's a clear indication of how much of a problem he was in the streets. The top shooters usually don't last long. The common outcome is either early death or life in prison. BPS is still honoring NightMare to this day.
Guys, this is JWiz TV. Thank y'all for tuning in. That was just a little clip from NightMare, you know, from the Jungle Stones. It's not my story, it's his story, you know. All this stuff is not to glamorize gaming or any source of that, you know. JWiz TV, once again, I'm your host, JWiz. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please subscribe to that channel, man. To the next clip drop. I got y'all.